Hi, I'm Claire Tolan. I'm an artist and a programmer, and right now I'm at Superbudda studio in Torino working on Soother, my ASMR AI voice companion for the Start's City of the Future. I'm Claire Tolan. I'm an artist and a programmer, and I have worked mainly with ASMR since 2013. I started working with ASMR because when I moved to Berlin, I was quite lonely. I didn't know anyone, and a friend sent me the first ASMR video that I saw, and I was having some trouble sleeping at the time, and I started watching ASMR videos to fall asleep. ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, which is the name that was given to it in a Yahoo chat forum in 2008, made to sound super scientific, even though it's kind of like a folk name for the phenomenon. And what it is a tingling sensation in the scalp and the spine, which is a physiological reaction to soft sounds, so whispering, nail tapping, and hair brushing. In addition to triggering the tingles, the videos and ASMR content are often focused on soothing and relaxation. So with Soother, I applied to the challenge that CELI launched, which is challenging social isolation through XR technology. I think that kind of conceptual thinking that comes from somebody who's deeply embedded in a field artistically can lend a great contribution to a technology project. And that's why I think artists are vital to the development of these technologies that will be really closely touching the lives and the emotions of residents of cities now and in the future. Soother is an ASMR AI voice companion. So it's a synthesized whispering voice with which a user can interact through a mobile app in order to follow through several ASMR role plays, to learn more about ASMR, and to be recommended ASMR content. The capacity of the voice, the AI voice, to become a conversational partner in a society which is becoming increasingly fractured and isolated, I think has a lot of potential. So Soother is kind of a first demonstration of this from an ASMR perspective, virtual intimacy at a distance that that I think it wants to be explored in different media, and that's what Soother hopes to do as well.
We are back to the showcase of the City of the Future open call with the second winner. We just saw the video presentation of Soother by Claire Tolan, and together with Andrea Boglioli, which was the research and innovation partner of the project and works for CELI and for HFARM. Unfortunately, Superbudda, which is the cultural, let's say, partner, is not present, but maybe Claire will tell us a little bit about the collaboration. So Claire, how was this process? How did you work throughout the City of the Future proposal?
Yeah, so it was quite a complex project, but very fun, and for me, an enormous learning experience. It's the first time that I've worked with artificial intelligence, so I had a lot to learn, and also the first time I worked with conversation design, and so I was very lucky to be partnered with Andrea and CELI, who provided me with a lot of learning resources. But I've made a prototype application of Soother, which I can talk about, so I'm very happy with the output.
Please tell us a little bit more about the app.
Yeah, sure. I have slides. I don't know if I should go through those
please.
now, maybe, but how do I?
Wow.
Okay, cool. But I will start at the beginning. So Soother is an AI ASMR voice companion, and it's kind of the output of this residency, in which I was partnered with Andrea and his colleagues at CELI, a language technology company, and Superbudda, a recording studio, and hosted, of course, by Nesta Italia, which I'm very thankful for. So as we saw in the video, Soother is an AI ASMR, and I've worked with ASMR since 2013. So my work has really focused on this therapeutic angle of ASMR, as well as on the relationship between the ASMR artist and the viewer. And I've been trying to work around ways to make that relationship more interactive over time. So I've done a lot of performances, but I've always wondered how to kind of make ASMR interactive at a distance. So here, for example, we see Ephemeral Rift, one of the great ASMR artists, and he's making a video in which he guesses things about the viewer. Obviously, the viewer can't respond to him to say whether his guesses are correct or not. So I've long wanted to kind of enhance that conversation, and so that's exactly what I've done with Soother, which is the first conversational ASMR artist, essentially. And so with Soother, I really wanted to explore the therapeutic potential of ASMR in conversation with an AI. And I also wanted to think about the design of a playful and fun AI. So often the AI voices we encounter are quite business-like or formal, and I wanted to think about how to make that interaction more playful. And with Soother's design, I've done this by giving Soother multiple personas. So every good ASMR artist plays different roles. This is a major trope of ASMR. You know, the ASMR artist becomes a fairy princess or an abducting alien, etc. So Soother, in the prototype, can play an alien that's kind of sitting on the user's head, leading the user through a meditation. It can play a dog who has acquired human language and trained to be a psychoanalyst who has a therapeutic conversation with the user, and it can play a best friend who has kind of turned into a time traveler and slips between different eras. So these are different modes of hosting the user's experience. And in addition to these three role plays, Soother can also talk about itself. It can tell the user more about ASMR, and it can recommend ASMR content from YouTube as well. So this is the current stage of Soother. It's a prototype Android application. It implements a speech-to-text API using Google Speech, which recognizes the user's voice and turns it into text. It implements a chatbot that takes that text and determines what the user is trying to say and spits out Soother's response. And then it also implements a speech-to-text API, which takes that text and synthesizes it into a whisper with which Soother responds to the user. My whisper is as yet imperfect. So for the prototype, I've also recorded all of Soother's dialogue as static audio files. So there are kind of two modes in which Soother speaks. With the static files, it sounds better than with the synthesized files. So I can demo both of these now, if you would like.
Yes.
Great. I wonder how the video, perhaps, yes.
Soother was created to prototype how an interactive ASMR artist might playfully entertain people who are bored, lonely, anxious, or unable to sleep. Shh. Shh. Let me query my tentacles. I
just to stop with that, shows you that in this mode, Soother is playing the alien who kind of talks as though it were an alien when presenting the user with its options, etc. And then here we have the synthesized whisper, and I ask you, if you're listening with headphones, to maybe turn down the volume a little bit, because it's a bit rough.
What taught me for the excellent qualities which I was capable of unfolding, I was nourished with.
Okay, so this, this played an audio file, and this is an example of the synthesized whisper further along in the training process, so it sounds actually not that bad. But in this video, I will play the whisper is about halfway through training, and it does sound, maybe this video isn't going to work. Well, that's okay. The point is, it's what you just heard, but reading out the text that you see on the screen. This is where Soother is now. In the future, I'll publish documentation in the next week and open up testing. After that, I'd like to get the app working on iOS and refine the Whisper voice model, so the trained voice you just heard, as well as the conversation design. And in the future, I think Soother has a lot of potential, both as a consumer product and as a research tool, and I'd like to explore both of those avenues. So with testing, if anybody watching would like to be a tester for Soother on Android or on iOS, please email me testing@soother.systems with the make and model of your phone, and I would be delighted to have you take part. And finally, just about the collaboration, I recorded all of the voice samples that went into the synthesized whisper at Superbudda this April. It's an amazing recording studio here in Torino, and I'm sorry that Marco couldn't be here today, but I thank him and Davide so much for their support of this project and for letting me use their space, which was invaluable, given that I normally record in my house, not as good. And then also thanks so much to Andrea and CELI, who taught me a lot about conversation design and kind of the existential framing of the project. So yes, and thank you to Nesta Italia as well, and my collaborator Milena, who did the design for the project.
Super, thank you, Claire. It's an amazing and future-looking project. And what was the role of the design, the research of CELI, and connected to the challenge? Because I remember the challenge was to challenge the isolation, right?
Yes. I proposed the challenge in November 22. And I'm the research and innovation manager of a company, CELI. In November 22, it was CELI, and we were 20 people. Now the company is H-Farm Innovation, and we are 120 people. So we had some changes in this month, and we work mainly on language technologies. CELI worked mainly on language technologies, natural language processing. And when I proposed this topic for the challenge, I tried to propose a topic that could involve artists and to make different ideas, to make different proposals and innovative ideas using extended reality technologies. And extended reality technologies are not only virtual reality and augmented reality, but include also natural language processing and dialogue systems and voice assistant. And we received many proposals, many different proposals in different areas, and the winner was Claire. I'm really happy because the work that she did, in my opinion, is really impressive. She is an artist, but she is also a smart software engineer. And so we were all impressed by she has many competencies and strong skills in machine learning and speech synthesis. And so we collaborated in the design of the conversation design and some other aspects. And I think she did a great job. I think this is the first conversational assistant that whisper. This is, in my, as far as I know.
I think so as well. Yeah, very nice to have done it.
Claire, where does it come? It's interesting, this interdisciplinarity, this transdisciplinarity of the artist. So where does it come? What is your background? Where does it come from?
Yeah, so I'm actually trained as a poet and as an archivist. That's my education, and I learned to program kind of as part of my work in archives, and then just found that I really enjoyed it. But for myself, I think I'm quite a generalist by attitude, so I just like to learn things generally, you know, and I think that that's led me to acquiring the skills I have.
You also talked about performance.
Yes.
You also perform.
I do, yes. Okay. Yeah. So I started working with ASMR via a radio show, and then that branched into performances as well. So, yeah. But I'm kind of more enjoy being behind the scenes than in front of the camera, I think.
And I wanted to know from the Andrea's perspective, whether you think that these can have a commercial future.
Well, I didn't think about this topic, and I have to speak. I have to talk with Claire, of course. The important thing was that she introduced some new ideas. Very innovative ideas, and such as use ASMR in voice assistant, and she has developed this dialogue system in a few months. And that for me is impressive and can open a new perspective for the future. So I think that I tested.
You tested it?
Yes, I'm testing the Soother and together with my colleagues, and then we will think about future developments.
What do you think about the future? What's
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have a commercial future, like if we would be so lucky. But I just see the kind of multiple ways that the project could continue to evolve and be refined, and I think that one of those definitely has a commercial potential. And then also, like I said, as a research tool, I think it could be valuable for sociological research, for example. So, and maybe both of those things together.
And is it possible to test it only reaching you at the moment?
At the moment, yeah, because I won't kind of officially release the app until it is more refined. But by emailing me Soother, or testing@soother.systems, I can add you almost immediately to testing on Android and in the few weeks to iOS, because I will make that work soon. Yeah.
Super fantastic. And in your opinion, the challenge was a very high challenge, the societal isolation. And we were already into pandemics, but we were kind of out from the first lockdown and entering the second one, even if we didn't know. Do you think this can be an answer to what we've been through, also in terms of health assistance, or to take care of specific diagnostic linked to psychological problems or similar?
Yeah, you know, I want to be careful about projecting too far in terms of what exactly this can do until we test further, obviously. But I think that seeing the way that ASMR has had this, you know, therapeutic cultural impact, one could make the assumption that this might be able to function similarly. So that's my hope, yes, as well.
And where did the challenge came from, to your mind?
Well, the challenge came from lockdown, and we were in lockdown, and I thought that it should be interesting to receive some ideas from artists that could help us during that period. And obviously, as a technological partner, I proposed the technologies that we use, and natural language processing and so on. But we were open to different proposals. I think that the Soother is not the final answer to our problems, but I think that it is interesting for healthcare services. I'm working in this sector, and I'm working. And we are studying the language and the conversation of patients with therapists in different scenarios, rehabilitation, people with dementia and Alzheimer and so on. And the conversation is a fundamental element for the therapy. And so this project can inspire us and to work for these other kind of people.
Bigger purposes. Andrea, was it the first time you worked with an artist, or did you already have a...
What if the future
No, it wasn't the first occasion because in the past I worked in another sector, and so I worked with video and so on. So I worked with many artists, but it is the first time that I work with an artist to develop a conversational assistant. And I think that it is useful. It is really useful, and this experience opens new scenarios for me.
So do you think you're going to work again,
yes,
either with Claire or other artists?
Yes, not only for natural language processing, but in other scenarios.
So the partnership, the collaboration was a good idea.
Yes.
Claire, I just ask you for a conclusion to tell us what's the next step for Claire Tolan.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm going to take some time off. I also released an AR app 2 weeks ago, so I've been very busy the past months. But I'm interested in taking this AR app, for example, and the work that I've done with Soother and finding some way to put them together. So I would feel very fortunate to continue this project. Yeah.
Super. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Andrea. We are now stopping for 1 hour for a lunch break, and we come back at 2 with the third showcase, with the third winner, with Studio Above and Below, Adopting Emotions. Thank you. Keep following us on social media on www.startsurbanfest. We see you later in 1 hour.